The day they threw me out, I didn't cry. Not when they changed the locks while I was still standing there on the front porch. Not when they stuffed my dresses, my good dresses, the ones I'd kept pressed and hanging since 1987, into black garbage bags like they were old newspapers. Not even when the young man, the property manager, young enough to be my grandson, God bless him, stood there on the steps with his clipboard and told me, in that flat, practiced voice of his, that I had overstayed the terms of occupancy. Overstayed. At 75 years old, 41 years I had lived in that apartment. 41 years of Christmas decorations on that same window. 41 years of knowing which floorboard creaked by the kitchen and which radiator knocked at 3 in the morning and which neighbor on the second floor played the saxophone on Sunday afternoons, whether you liked it or not. 41 years, and they gave me 72 hours. No, I didn't cry, not then, but later that night, much later, when the street had gone quiet and the last of the cars had passed, and I was sitting on the concrete step of a laundromat 2 blocks away, holding the one bag they let me keep, the bag I'd packed myself, the bag with my Bible, my photographs, and my mother's watch. I sat there in the cold, and I said something out loud, not to anyone in particular, maybe to myself, maybe to God, maybe just to the night air. I said, maybe this is happening because it's time I finally open that door. Now, before I go any further, I want you to understand something about how you are hearing this story. My name is Elizabeth May. I am 85 years old, and this story you are about to hear is my own. But I did not speak it. I wrote it, every word of it, by hand, in a composition notebook, the kind with the black and white marble cover, sitting at the kitchen table I now own in a house that is now mine. I wrote it because someone told me I should. A young woman, a neighbor's granddaughter. She said to me one afternoon while I was shelling butter beans on the porch, she said, "Miss Elizabeth, the things you carry in your head should not die with you." I thought about that for a long time, and then I thought about all the women like me, women who lost things, women who were pushed aside, women who were told by circumstance or by people or by the quiet cruelty of time that their season was finished. I wrote this for them, not for pity, Lord, no. If you hear pity in my voice, I have failed. I wrote this because there are things people hide in families, and sometimes those things wait patient as stone until you have nothing left before they choose to reveal themselves. Remember that. Hold it. It will matter before we are done. Let me go back. Let me go back to the beginning of the end, which, as it turns out, was also the beginning of everything else. My husband, Robert, my Bobby, had passed 4 years before the eviction. Lung cancer, 14 months from diagnosis to the morning I held his hand and felt it go still. We had no children of our own. That was a grief of a different kind, one we had long since made peace with, Bobby and I. We had a life, a real one, full one. Church, friends, his woodworking shop in the back of the building, my garden out the window boxes, our Friday night dinners where we always ordered from the same Chinese restaurant and argued about the same things and laughed about the same things and were, in every way that counted, enough for each other. When he died, he left me with enough to be comfortable, not rich, comfortable, and I was careful with it. I had always been careful. But the building was sold. That's the part people don't always understand. It wasn't that I couldn't pay. I paid every month on time. For 41 years, I paid. But the building was sold to a developer, and the developer had plans. And in those plans, there was no room for an old woman in apartment 4C who had lived there since the Carter administration. They were within their legal rights. I know that now. I didn't know the specifics then. All I knew was the letter, then the second letter, then the third, then the lawyer's notice, then the 72 hours. I called my nephew, Darren, Bobby's sister's boy, the one who used to call me Aunt Liz and who I used to send $20 on his birthday every year until he was grown. He let the phone ring through to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I left a message. I said, "Darren, it's Aunt Liz. I need some help. Please call me back." He did not call back. I called my friend Patricia, my oldest friend in the world. 50 years we had known each other. But Patricia had her own troubles. Her daughter was in the hospital. Her house was already full of grandchildren. She cried when she heard my voice, and I told her, "Patricia, don't you cry. I'm fine." And I hung up before she could hear that I was not fine. So there I was, 75 years old, a widow, 4 black garbage bags on the sidewalk, and 1 bag in my hand. And it was cold. Now here is where I need to tell you something about the house. My grandmother, Mama Celia, we called her, she had a house, a real house, old, wooden, set back from the road down a dirt lane in a small town in North Carolina where our family had roots going back to before the roads had names. Mama Celia died when I was 32, and when she died, she left no will, or so the family said, and so the house just sat. Nobody wanted to deal with it. The property taxes were small enough that somebody, somewhere, kept paying them. I learned later it was an automatic arrangement she had made with the county before she passed, paid out ahead, decades in advance, from an account none of us knew she had. I should have found that strange. I didn't then. The house had been in my mind all my adult life. The way a scar is in your mind. You know it's there. You've learned to live around it, but you don't press it. And there was a reason for that. The basement. Every family has its mythology, its warnings, its thou shalt nots passed down, not in commandments, but in tones of voice, in the way an adult's expression changes when a child asks the wrong question. In our family, the tone of voice always changed when anyone mentioned Mama Celia's basement. Don't go down there. Not when I was 7 and curious about where the cat had gone. Don't go down there. Not when I was 12 and there was a bad storm and the rest of the house shook and I thought surely a basement would be safer. Don't go down there, Elizabeth. That was Mama Celia herself, the last time she said it to me. I was about 19, home for a summer, and I had asked, innocently, what was actually in the basement. She had looked at me with those eyes of hers. eyes that had seen things none of us would ever fully know, and she said quietly, firmly, "Some doors are closed for a reason, and the reason doesn't always need explaining." I never asked again. So, sitting on that concrete step, cold, alone, 75 years old, I made a decision. Not a big dramatic decision, not the kind you make with tears and music. A quiet decision, the kind that comes when you have stripped everything else away and what is left is simply the next step forward. I had the deed. I had found it years ago in a folder of Bobby's papers. He was meticulous, my Bobby, kept everything, and I had held on to it without quite knowing why. The deed showed Mama Celia as the owner. No transfer had ever been recorded, which meant legally it had passed to her heirs, which meant, in part, it was mine. I took a bus, then another bus. Then I walked the last 2 miles because the town had changed and the roads had changed and the bus didn't go as far as it used to. And I walked down that dirt lane, and there it was, Mama Celia's house. I want to tell you what it felt like to stand in front of that house after more than 40 years away. It felt like standing in front of a word you had forgotten, like when something's on the tip of your tongue, something you once knew perfectly, something that was ordinary and daily and then gone, and then you see it again, and the whole weight of the forgetting and the remembering lands on you at once. The house was old, Lord, it was old. The white paint had gone gray and then passed gray into something close to silver, the way very old wood does in certain light. The porch sagged at one corner. The yard had grown wild with 20, maybe 30 years of nothing, tall grass and volunteer trees and honeysuckle that had swallowed half the fence. But it was standing. That house was still standing. I walked up the porch steps, tested each one first the way Mama Celia taught me. Always test what you don't know, Elizabeth. And I took the spare key from the nail under the porch eave. It was still there. 40 years. The nail was rusty. The key was rusty. But it turned. The door swung open, and the smell that came out was not rot, not ruin. It was something older than that. Dried herbs, cedar, the particular stillness of a place that has been holding its breath. Inside, the house was dim and dusty, but intact. The furniture was covered in old sheets, the way people do when they leave a place they intend to return to. The kitchen window was cracked but not broken. The floors were solid. The walls were marked by water stains near the ceiling, but the bones of that house were good. Mama Celia had built well, or rather, Mama Celia had chosen well what to preserve. I walked through every room slowly, touching things, remembering things. The rocking chair by the window where she would sit and shell peas and pray, both at the same time, because she said praying and working were the same thing if you meant 'em both. The shelf of her Bibles, she had 7. She said each one had taught her something different. The kitchen table, round with one leg slightly shorter than the others, where she always put a folded piece of cardboard under the short leg, and where we ate every family meal I could remember. I sat at that table, and I was, for the first time since Bobby died, maybe for the first time in years, somewhere that felt like mine. Not rented, not borrowed. Mine. Before I continue, I want to stop just for a moment and ask you something, because this is the part of the story where I stood up from that table and I walked down the short hallway at the back of the house and I stood in front of the basement door. The same door, the door I had been told my whole life never to open. And I want to ask you, if you had a door like that in your life, not a basement door, I mean a door inside you, the kind you have kept locked because someone told you it was dangerous, or because you were afraid of what you'd find, or because as long as you kept it closed, you could maintain a certain version of yourself and your family and your history. Would you open it if you had nothing left to lose? Think about that. Hold it in your mind, because that is exactly where I was standing. 75 years old, nothing to my name but one bag and an old deed, standing in front of the one door I had never been allowed to open. And the thing is, I wasn't afraid anymore. That surprised me. All those years, the basement had lived in my imagination as something fearful, something dark, something that deserved the silence Mama Celia had kept around it. But standing there that evening, with the last light going gray through the dusty window at the end of the hall, I didn't feel fear. I felt something closer to readiness. The padlock was old. Heavy brass, gone green at the edges. I looked for a key and found none. I tried the keys on Mama Celia's ring. There were 9 of them. I had no idea what most of them opened. The 9th one fit. I don't know why that made my eyes sting, but it did. I pulled the padlock free. The door swung inward with a sound like a long-held breath finally exhaled. Wooden stairs led down into darkness. I found a flashlight in the kitchen drawer. Batteries dead, and so I went back out to my bag and found the small flashlight I keep on my keychain, the one my neighbor had given me years ago as a joke birthday gift. For when life leaves you in the dark, Liz. I went down the stairs, one at a time, testing each one. The basement was dry. That was the first thing I noticed. Old houses in the South, their basements are usually damp. They smell of earth and mold and time. But this basement was dry. Carefully ventilated, I realized later, through a system of small fitted vents near the ceiling that Mama Celia must have had installed deliberately, intentionally. Someone had thought about preservation. The second thing I noticed was the shelves, floor to ceiling on 3 walls, old wooden shelves built right into the frame of the house. And on those shelves, boxes, tin boxes, wooden boxes, cardboard boxes wrapped in oilcloth, tied with string, glass jars sealed with wax, file folders in a metal cabinet in the corner, locked, but the key for it was taped to the back of the cabinet itself, labeled in Mama Celia's handwriting, for Elizabeth. When the time comes. I stood very still. For Elizabeth, not for the family, not for whichever heir got here first, not for the estate, for Elizabeth. I sat down on the bottom step and I said out loud to no one, to the dry air of that basement and the memory of a woman 20 years dead, Mama Celia, what did you do? I will tell you what I found. Not all of it. Some of it is still too close, too private, too much mine to share in full, but I will tell you enough. The metal cabinet held documents, legal documents, a deed, a different deed, older than the one I had, showing that Mama Celia's land extended far beyond what anyone in our family had known or claimed. 3 plots, not one. The house sat on one. The other 2 were adjacent parcels she had quietly purchased in the 1940s and 1950s, paying cash, keeping the paperwork to herself, telling nobody. Why? Because in those years, in that state, a black woman who owned land, real land, documented land, could find herself in danger, not metaphorical danger, real danger. She had seen it happen to others, and so she hid it. She protected it the only way she knew how. Silence, secrecy, and patience. She was waiting for a time when it would be safe to claim it, or waiting, and this is the part that unraveled me, for the right person to need it. In the 10 boxes, money, not a fortune, but real savings, rolled and bundled and labeled by year, going back to the 1960s. Cash she had set aside across decades, untouched. In the glass jars, seeds, heirloom seeds she had saved from her garden, labeled in her neat handwriting. Tomatoes, beans, herbs I had to look up later because I didn't recognize their names. In the oilcloth wrapped boxes, letters, dozens of letters, some written to people I didn't know, some written to people I did, some written and never sent. I could tell because they were still sealed, addressed in Mama Celia's hand, sitting there in the dark for decades, waiting. And in the last box, at the back of the deepest shelf, wrapped not in oilcloth, but in a piece of the blue and white fabric she used to wear as a headscarf on Sundays, a letter addressed to me, Elizabeth May, my full name, in her handwriting. I sat down on the floor of that basement, right on the concrete floor. I didn't care, and I opened it. I will not read you every word, but I will tell you the shape of it. She wrote, "I have watched you, Elizabeth, from the time you were small, and I have seen in you something I recognized, a kind of quiet stubbornness that does not bend even when it should. That is both a gift and a burden, and I expect by the time you read this, life will have shown you which is which." She wrote about the land, exactly what she owned and why she had hidden it. She named the county offices where the deeds were filed. She named the lawyer she had used, a man long dead, but his firm still existed. She believed it would still exist. The ones who do good work, they last. She wrote about the family. And this is where the letter changed tone, where Mama Celia's careful, measured handwriting seemed to press harder into the page, like the pen itself was carrying weight. She wrote, "He will have tried to take what is not his. By the time you read this, the truth will be in this room. The documents are complete. The record is clear. You will know what to do." She was right. I did know what to do. I won't pretend it was simple. Nothing worth having is simple. There was a lawyer, a good one, the granddaughter of the firm Mama Celia had used, as it turned out, which felt like the kind of coincidence that isn't really a coincidence. There were documents to be authenticated, deeds to be verified, Several very difficult conversations with county offices who were not accustomed to being presented with evidence this old and this meticulous. Gerald's name came up. Gerald was spoken to. Gerald did not, in the end, contest anything because the documents were too clear, and Mama Celia had been, in her quiet, determined way, absolutely thorough. She had always been thorough. The land was confirmed mine, all 3 parcels. The house, once I had brought in the right people to assess and repair it, was structurally sound, good bones, as I said. The repairs took months and most of the cash from those 10 boxes, but not all of it. There was enough left to live on carefully while the work was done. I planted a garden in the spring. I used Mama Celia's seeds. I am 85 years old now. 10 years have passed since the night I sat on that concrete step with my 1 bag in my hands. I am sitting right now on the porch Mama Celia used to sit on. The corner that sagged has been repaired. The paint is a new white, a good white, a clean white, the kind that almost glows in the late afternoon light. My garden is along the left side of the house, the same side Mama Celia always used, and it is, if I may say so, magnificent. My life is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is mine. I have a neighbor now, a young woman, a teacher, with a daughter who comes over sometimes to sit on the porch steps and ask me questions, big questions, small questions, the kind children ask when they're trying to figure out how the world works. Last week she asked me, "Miss Elizabeth, what's the most important thing you ever learned?" I thought for a long time before I answered, because the easy answers were there: faith, patience, hard work, love, and all of those are true, all of those matter. But what I said was this: the most important thing I ever learned is that the people who love you sometimes protect you in ways you cannot see, and the worst thing that happens to you is sometimes the door to the best thing, and you will not always know which is which until you have nothing left to fear. She wrote it down. She actually wrote it down in a small notebook she keeps in her jacket pocket. I liked that. When I finished writing this story, all these pages, all these nights at the kitchen table, this old long letter to whoever would read it, I sat quietly for a while. Because the strange thing about putting a life into words is that you see it differently once it's on the page. The shape of it becomes visible. And I could see, written out in front of me, that what I had thought of as the worst years of my life were actually the corridor, the passage between one room and another. The eviction did not destroy me. It returned me to something that had been waiting for me my whole life. Mama Celia had built that house, had hidden those documents, had written that letter, had sealed it in that basement with a lock that fit the 9th key on a ring I nearly didn't think to check. She had done all of that for me. A woman who died when I was 32, who could not have known exactly what my life would look like, who could not have known about Bobby or Apartment 4C or a developer with a clipboard and 72 hours, but who knew enough, who knew that someday her Elizabeth would need a door to walk through. She made sure it would be there. She made sure I would be the one to find it. Some doors are closed for a reason. Yes, Mama Celia. And sometimes the reason is love. My name is Elizabeth May. I am 85 years old. I am a widow, a gardener, a neighbor, a keeper of seeds, a reader of old letters, and a woman who has, in her own time, come home. And if there is a door in your life that you have been afraid to open, I am not here to tell you what is behind it. I am only here to tell you this: you are stronger than the lock, and whoever placed that door in front of you, they may have done it because they believed you were the only one strong enough to open it. If this story moved you, if something in Elizabeth's voice touched something in your own life, then stay. Subscribe to this channel, because there are more letters, more voices, more stories from people who lost everything and found in the wreckage something no one could have predicted. Some of them will sound familiar. Some of them will sound like yours. We'll be here. We always will be.